if something happened in their life that you can't help them out with. That's why they're changing careers or they're leaving you. This is just how to make that process again smoother and just less painful. Hey there, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal set at this video is to walk you through the painful process of when your virtual assistant resigns or quits. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I'm working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own virtual assistant company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, you might be panicking already, which is why you went to Google of like, okay, how do I deal with my assistant quitting? And it sounds painful and it sounds hurtful and it sounds something like, what do I do now? And hopefully at the end of this video you guys will have a good walkthrough of what that process would look like, how to make it less painful, and if it really is that you can't negotiate with your assistant, if something happened in their life that you can't help them out with, that's why they're changing careers or they're leaving you. This is just how to make that process again smoother and just less painful. I'm going to divide this whole process up into 3 things. Now, these 3 things, if you've been watching my videos for a while, is going to be familiar because this is also the 3 things that you're going to watch out for when you're hiring and also when you're onboarding an assistant, which is basically tasks, systems, and second brain. So it's going to be that same process that how we onboarded the assistant is the same kind of process when we offboard them. So on the task side, you're going to make sure of a couple of lists. First one is a list of the current tasks that they have ongoing. So these could be tasks that they said like, hey, I will make sure before I leave that I finish this, or it could be a list of the ongoing tasks, ongoing projects that they have. This is important that you have this list so then you are able to fully see a good picture of where they were at as they were going, and you are also be able to catch those things and be able to start delegating to other people later on. You also want a list of the tasks that they have delegated to other people. Now, depending if you've been working with freelancers or they do have other teammates, you want to have that list of the things that they were monitoring. That way you are also, again, you're getting more and more of the picture of what your assistant was doing so that things don't fall through the cracks as they are leaving. Next is having that list of recurring tasks. So recurring tasks are their daily, weekly, monthly tasks, quarterly, yearly, whatever it is, as long as it's recurring. There's like a time and place that they will do that task. You want to make sure, again, things don't fall through the cracks, whether that they were checking your emails, they were checking your calendar, they were filtering people through, they were updating your social media, they were doing this, down to the smallest things. You want to make sure, again, that you capture those because you never know if it was something that was essential to your business. Once you have those lists of, again, the ongoing tasks and projects, the list of things that they gave to other team members, the list of tasks, the recurring tasks that they have, you want to start going through a little bit of the Eisenhower matrix where you are prioritizing them between urgent and important tasks. This will look different for every business. Your urgent and important might be like, hey, this is coming in the next week, or your urgent might be, hey, this is coming in the next month. This has to be you doing it as the business owner to make sure that things are actually prioritized as they should be. You might also want to take the advice of your virtual assistant as they're leaving of like, hey, where would you put this in the priority scale based on how much you've worked on this task or project? This will help give you an insight of how big things were of what they were working on, or how significant it was, or how quickly you need to hire for your next person. Next is once you have that prioritized, you can start delegating it to other team members if you do have other team members, or just picking and choosing the ones that you can do yourself and kind of defaulting a little bit to that until you go through the next step of using that list of tasks that you just gotten from your virtual assistant for the job description for the next assistant. So this can sound really harsh, as an employer, that relationship that you guys didn't have, but you need to start looking for someone right away rather than hoping that they'll come back, hoping that things will change and you don't have to replace them. You kind of just have to go through the motions of then looking for your next assistant rather than dragging on for too long and then your assistant can't train that next person. So you want to make sure that you, right off the bat, you have that list. Good. Now to looking for the next person. Now, once you have that, you've kind of like, okay, and now I'm clear on the tasks and clear on what she was working on and clear on what are the things that I can then give to the next assistant. The next part is the system side. Now, on the system side, it's going to be a couple of things. First one is just getting all the documentation created, having them create the standard operating procedures of what were the things that they were doing, what were their tasks, what were the projects that they were on, making sure that if you guys have a project update database, that all of it is updated if they were working on different tasks, making sure that everything is written down, or at least there's a video tutorial on how to do the tasks that they were doing. That way, you have a clear way to be able to train the next person, and you also, things don't fall through the cracks. I'm going to say that a lot because usually when that transition happens, things are forgotten, things are like slipped through, and you're like, oh yeah, shoot, we should have trained you on this. So this is why it's important to document everything. One thing I recommend is creating what we call into XU as an SOP database, which is basically just a list of all the SOPs, all the tasks that they've been doing, so then it's clear for you again to be able to teach that to other people as well. Next is then a list of all the things that they have access to, all the things that they have logins to, all of the folders, the files that they have access to. It could be your social media, it could be your Gmail account, and making sure that you again have all of that list. It could be that you guys were sharing passwords through LastPass or 1Password, so then you have just a list of that. But it's also making sure that if they were the ones who created the account for you, it's changing that email address, changing the passwords later on from that list. And then the last step for the systems part is have them walk through how they would train your new virtual assistant. So let's say that it took you longer to get a new assistant and they're already out of the picture, they're already working somewhere else, or their life changed. How would they still train that assistant? It's basically teaching you how they would train that next assistant. So having that list of, okay, this is where they would start, this is the next task, this is the next projects that they'll be working on, or it could be just them training the next person that you have already delegated some of the tasks that they're doing it to. So if you had a graphic designer and they were doing some graphic tasks like one-off, making sure that they're trained, like, hey, this is how she prefers it, this is how it should be done. And if you're lucky enough to find the next assistant before they leave, then making sure that that system or that process happens. Now on the last part, which is basically your second brain, is just making sure that everything is clean relationship wise between the two of you. Everything's kind of all written down and just double checking things at this point. First thing is asking for feedback. Now it's not one of the easiest things to read or do a call on. It's just asking them of like, hey, what were the things that went wrong? What are things that I could have done better as your boss? What were things that were your favorite parts of the job? What were your least favorite parts of the job? It's also just trying to see how you can be a better manager, a better leader the next time that you do have your next virtual assistant. It's asking them questions like, hey, what could have made you stay? What could have made this a little bit an easier process or an easier decision for you to stay? Next is once you have that back and forth, and then you can also just ask them for feedback on the job description that you wrote out for your next virtual assistant. This way you're able to have them look at like, hey, this is what I'm looking for in the next assistant. Do you agree? Is there anything that you would think would help the next person who's getting it hired to have the clarity to know what this job is going to be like? And then next is kind of just reflecting and tweak. Just basically going through their feedback, going through like objectively without emotion. I know it's really, really hard to not doing it without emotion. Look at their feedback of like, okay, they said this. Okay, this is how I can do it differently the next time. They said this is how I can do it, like not having to make them feel that way at all. So again, it's tweaking and keeping in mind that being a boss, being a leader, being a manager is just an ongoing process of you learning what to do and what not to do to take care and support the people who are supporting you in your business. Next is then to just offboard them successfully, whether this looks like that, hey, you're just taking them all of their access off, you've changed all the passwords, you've made sure the tasks are delegated to other people, you are making sure that they feel like good and they feel, hey, it's done, you can go along and start your next job or your next business or whatever change that you have in your life. And finally, it's just thanking them. Now, I know it's a little bit hard to not feel betrayed, to not feel like you're going to be left out because this person who meant a lot to you or has worked with you in your business for quite some time is leaving. But you have to keep in mind that kind of the same advice that I give to people when they get rejected or if they get fired, usually it's not personal. Usually it is just life changing, life moving along, and they're just needing something different. So make sure that you do thank them as they go. Just tell them like, hey, thank you so much for being here. You kind of just leave and part as friends. And then on to the next assistant. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below. Have you ever experienced your assistant quitting? And if you have, let me know your experience. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.